Career development interview, take one. Hi, my name is Travius Collins. I am 33 years old. I was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. I lived there for almost 28 years of my life. One day I just got up and decided that it was time to do something different. So I packed up my things or everything that I could take on the train and I moved to Brooklyn, New York. To be honest, it was a rough start. Things were crazy in the beginning. I moved from here to there, crashed on couches and stayed where I could until I got my own place, which was about 2 years in. And once I got my own place, me and my roommate, we both decided it was time to move forward with the master plan, and we enrolled at Bryan Stratton College, and we began our education so we could become business leaders in the future. And today, I'm currently here interviewing for this position, so I can get experience in learning how to operate a business with the high standards that I see here in this environment. Well, a time I missed a deadline. I am one of those people who let deadlines literally drive them crazy sometimes. Like if I know that something has to be done by a certain time or a bill has to be paid by a certain time, it drives me crazy until I get it done, until I'm secure that it will be done. And when I get my schoolwork at the beginning of the week, they give it to you on Sunday morning. And even if it's an easy week or a jam packed week, I'm just like, it doesn't even matter to me. That first day in, I'm going, going, going. And my friends are like, calm down, you have an entire week. But just the mere fact that there's a deadline, I have to like attack it and get it done just to ensure and reassure myself that I will actually meet whatever deadline it is. So one week, right, crazy week. It was like a jam packed week. We had midterms, the workload was heavy, and like extra assignments. I had doctor's appointments. I had everything was going on. Plus, the company that I worked for was hosting or sponsoring a charity event in the middle of that week. So I was like, I didn't have a moment to myself. And I thought I prioritized and planned it perfectly where it would all come out and I would come out on top and have it all done and everything would be fine. Now, the great news is the actual charity event turned out well, but by the time I got to the end of the week, I realized I did not master the prioritizing of the schoolwork. And one of my assignments, actually, I totally forgot about and did not get a chance to do. Now, the drama to the story is I realized this very late, like 11:30 at night. I had like 30 minutes to get it done and turn it in. And I had to think, I said, now, what's the right thing to do here? Do I rush the assignment and pound it out in 30 minutes and turn in what I can? Or do I just turn it in tomorrow, get up in the morning, fresh mind, take my time and turn in a great assignment and maybe lose a couple points deduction for being late, but it will be better to impress the teacher with the work rather than make it on time and horrible. So I decided the right thing to do was to turn it in late. I missed the deadline. Now the great news is my score was wonderful. I did lose points for the assignment being late, but overall I felt it was worth it. That's my deadline story. Mistakes I believe are human nature, and as what I consider a natural born leader, a lot of times when things go wrong, I can find the mistake that I made in that situation. A good example of that was the charity event that I spoke of earlier. That day was so jam packed. It was the first time in my life I had ever been that closely involved with planning and organizing an event for the community, and it felt like an overload of things to remember, things to do, things to keep up with. And On that day, while we were loading up the trucks and things to take all the food and decorations and all of these things over to the event, some kind of way, something happened in one of the boxes, a very, very important box full of very, very important things, ended up being left. And I wasn't necessarily directly responsible for picking up the box and loading it in the truck, but I learned that day that the mistake that I made as a leader in that situation, a leader position, I didn't have a checklist. I failed to make a checklist. And I count that as a mistake because in the future, going forward, I've learned that never, ever, ever plan anything without a checklist. It would have eliminated the possibility of leaving anything behind if I just would have had a checklist and we would have went over that checklist before we left. I realize and understand that as a mistake now. My positive change story. As I said, I worked for a company before. I actually work for a company now, which me and my roommate are partnering to start an organization called Man Made Production. And when we began, it was strictly music. Strictly music. We wrote music for other artists, and I wrote music. We wrote music for um, us to produce, and we made music. We love music. We always go in the studio just for fun. But opportunities start to come that were outside of music. And I would consider my positive change to a company is convincing my partner to expand the business beyond just writing music and making music into other opportunities. And now we've developed into more than just a music production, but instead an entertainment production company, which I'm so proud of. And we've begun to produce uh, web-based television shows and shows possibly that will be on television someday. You know, fingers crossed. Okay. I've never actually been in a situation where a boss has asked me to do something that I would have a moral objection to, and my response in that situation, whether it be a boss, an authority figure, a loved one, whatever it is, I don't believe in compromising my beliefs for anything or anyone else. As I told you in the beginning, I left Orlando, Florida to start a new life and be a better person and have do great things and live in great opportunities. And that's why I moved to New York. But I definitely do not want to compromise what I believe is right and wrong. And and part of the reason why I want to start my own business is because I want to provide opportunities for others, but I want it to be under the moral and the ethics that I believe are right. So I can follow along with company policy, but if the situation gets to a point where I'm being asked to do something that I feel is morally devaluing and just not me, it's completely out of my character, then I'm just going to refuse to do it. And I'll accept whatever consequences come along with that. When one door closes, another door opens. I'm a great believer of that philosophy. So I'm not going to compromise my values and what I believe to hold down a job or to keep a job or to impress a manager who I feel is not of the same moral as me. To be honest, failure is hard for me. I do not like to fail. One of my drives in life is to win. So I respond to a failure, maybe not, I guess not in the best way, or maybe it is the best way. When I fail at something, I take a moment to relive it and to re-understand it and to examine it and to analyze it and to break it down and to figure out what where did the failure go wrong and how can I correct and not fail at this again. I don't live in sulk and blame myself for weeks and days and don't get out of bed, but I do take a moment to feel bad and to try to understand the failure because I don't want to repeat it. Um, some people say, "Oh, I just get up and smile and move on with life," and I eventually will. And I promise myself not to stay in a pity place for too long. But I believe if you just erase and move on and don't take time to live in the fact that this was a failure and examine your failures, you'll repeat them and you'll continue to repeat them. And people who say, in my opinion, people who live under the belief that it's just a failure, oh well, move on, they become accustomed to failing, and that's not my game. I want to win. I put in hard work for victory. I fight to the end. I expect and I want to win. Within the first 90 days on this job, I want to get to know the people I work with, become acquainted with the job and the people I will be working with, and get a true understanding of what is expected of me here and how I can achieve that. I want to learn because the best benefit in working for an amazing company like this is an opportunity to become what you work for. And that's my initial goal. So within the first 90 days, as much as I want to perform well and produce and impress the people around me, my coworkers, the people I work for, the managers, the people who are watching, I want to be a student and I want to learn and I want to master the job so that when I'm in the next position and I'm promoted to the next place, I can help the person who takes my spot at becoming as good as I was. Um, Before I end the interview, I just want to ask you one question. The person who had, in your experience, have you seen do this job the best? What were their qualifications? What did they do that made them the best? That made them stand out from others in the position?